So what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another week of In the Studio Live. Like I mentioned before, kind of getting a little bit away from me doing all the music stuff because there's only so many ways I can teach you how to like mix a snare. So I'm starting to, intermix some of these really amazing people I've met over my musical career and just bring them in to pick their brain and stuff. I think it's a cool opportunity for you, if you're a music creator, to join the conversation and learn some interesting stuff about what's going on in the world of music and playing in bands, especially now with the pandemic being so crazy still. So if you didn't know, I do this every single week on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you got nothing going on, you should always just expect a little notification that tells you that we're doing this. And also, if you like music, I have a YouTube channel. Check that out. It's youtube.com/Raytown Productions. A lot of cool tutorials. I've been doing reaction videos because that's the fun thing to do now, apparently. And so I have some cool like song analysis on there. So if that sounds interesting, check that out. I also have a Facebook community with some pretty amazing producers and music creators on there. That's called the Home Studio Fast Track, and that's on Facebook. It's, again, pretty awesome. Just the other day, we had people that didn't know how to do something, and everybody jumped in to help them out. Is amazing. So with that, I'm going to jump into our stream for tonight, and I have my buddy, Dave Andreas. Met him here in DC right when I first moved here. I'm sure the story of us meeting is going to unfold when we get into the conversation a little bit. But he is a guitar player, a producer. He's got a home studio. He makes music. Super talented guy. I'm excited to have him on. And so we're going to hop into the show. But before I do that, as always, we're going to talk about the beer for today. So it's not PBR. I'm just playing with you guys. It's actually DC Brau Arcade Series 3 just came out. I'm super pumped. DC Brau's a local brewery by me. And this one's Imperial IPA. So Dave is a big IPA drinker, so I wanted to have an IPA. So before we get started, cheers everybody, and let's get rolling. Oh, that's delicious. Dave, what's up? I ambushed you.
How's it going, man?
It's going, man. It's been a while. So I see you also have a beer. I'm curious what you're drinking tonight.
I am drinking the Liquid Courage by Antietam Brewery in Hagerstown.
Where's that? Is that local?
It's Hagerstown, Maryland. So yeah.
That's got to be an IPA, right?
No, sour ale, man.
Sour? What? You changed?
Just for tonight, man. Just for
okay. Mixing it up. That's fine. That's fine. I understand.
New.
So I have a question for you. Has Corona inspired you to find any new brews? Like, are you drinking the same old thing, or have you gone out of your shell and like found some new beer that you need to tell me about?
Probably not beer. I'll be honest, like before Corona, I didn't really ever fuck with like alcoholic seltzer. And then when that happened, I White Claws at the beginning of the pandemic, just like, when will this end? Can I sleep through it all? And then I don't know. I was a lot of that. And then since then it's just been back to my usuals, except for this, obviously trying something.
Yeah.
My wife just likes sours a lot, so I just
every time we've kicked it, it's always been like IPAs. So man, well, we haven't been able to kick it for like,
I like sours too.
8 months, a year almost at this point.
It's been a minute. I mean, I didn't even know you had another dog.
That's true. Yeah, for all you guys that don't know, I have 2 lovely dogs. I have a boxer beagle and then it's like a black lab pointer mix. I don't know. We don't really know. But what's freaking me out is we got her as a puppy and her paws are really big. So I'm worried. Like, we wanted a dog that was like maybe 40, 50 pounds, but I'm worried she's going to be like 60, 70 pounds. We have no idea how big she's going to get. So it's just gonna be this monster dog. Could be like a great day, and I have no idea.
Surprise!
Yeah, she's like super long. She's like this, almost like a wiener dog, but like a black lab. I don't know. She's a weirdo. She's a big baby.
Sweetie.
Yeah. So I have so many questions for you, dude, because you are in like a bunch of different bands. So like 3 bands, as far as I understand, and like like, do you recommend that? Because like when I was in a band, I like that just seems like overwhelming almost. Like and like when I was in a band, it was always like you gotta be loyal to the one band, and you shouldn't ever like diversify. You know, like do you recommend that? How do you manage that?
I don't know. I mean, like, what I'll say is that I knew that, like, I just love music and I love different kinds of music. I mean, like, when I first started playing guitar, I was playing it, at home by myself or in, like, middle school jazz band where I'm, like, learning how to, like, comp and play along to, like, Moonlight and stuff like that. And then fast forward to now, and I play metal, I play punk, I play, I even mess around with some hip hop now, like just diversified taste over time. And I just think that for me, when I really started meeting other people and being able to be in a band, like an actual band, a group of dudes who aren't just like meeting up to jam, but like want to write music and like do stuff and take it seriously. Um, by the time I got to that point, I was just writing a lot of music in different styles and like wanting to play pop punk and wanting to play like progressive metal and like be more into the more complicated technical parts of the guitar, because that was a lot of how I came up studying too. But I always like loved punk rock and punk music and pop punk. So, and like all the genres that are kind of attached to it, like post hardcore and all the stuff we bond over and stuff. So I don't know. I think I did it because I wanted to do it. Like I just wanted to be involved in those different styles. I will say one of the 3 kind of just happened. The other 2 I really like kind of built from the ground up myself. But one of the bands was like an opportunity that I wasn't going to pass up on. So I guess to answer your question, for me, it's just really been about like trying to go after every opportunity I have and trying to make use of all the different content I'm developing and appetite I have for writing to like produce stuff, just get it out there and like hope that someone listens and inspire people.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
awesome.
I don't know if I'd recommend it.
Yeah, because like I guess for me, maybe the problem with when I started playing guitar and I was like in bands and stuff, like I was too young and naive, and it was like, oh, I'm gonna be in a band and we're gonna play a punk song and an emo song and a metal song, but like there's no continuity there. So like it sounds like what you're doing is you're more focused and it all makes sense. That way you have your lane, and you stay in it, and then people will like you because you're not doing ridiculous stuff like I did. I'm trying to write all this different music, and it's like this band doesn't make sense.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair, but I also think like some people are probably successful because they try a bunch of different things, and then when they fail and succeed, they figure out what they should stick with.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have quit being in 3 bands a long time ago. But what I will say is, like, for myself, it was satisfying my creative output and allowing us to actually be taken somewhat seriously. I think every single one of my bands has been taken somewhat seriously. Not that we've like been super successful or been signed by a record label or anything, but like I think that because we didn't try to play 5 different genres, we could be on bills and like actually book shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So how are you guys writing music now? Like, are you able to? Is this?
Yeah. So, I mean, this. Your listeners, your viewers may not know this, but most of the funny thing about it is there's like a bunch of I don't want to say incest, but like overlap between all the bands in terms of the members. There's at least a few members are the same in all 3 of the bands. And we all like metal and we all like pop punk. And then like the 3rd band is like easycore, which is kind of like where those 2 meet, right? So we're all kind of in somewhat the same lane, and we're kind of just making different flavors of what we love. But all of us, and I think this is kind of just the nature of the 21st century producer, or sorry, rather, 21st century artist, is we're all producers. There's not really, even at this point, before Corona, there was one of us who wasn't a producer, and now all of us are. All of us record our own stuff. I mean, we've put out some music that was fully recorded during quarantine. None of us saw each other during the entire process. We just all recorded our own parts. And then,
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and then two of us did the mixing. We split it up like 2 songs and 2 songs. And so I mixed 2, and my drummer Marty mixed 2. So it was pretty cool process. I didn't see any of them in person until we had already recorded everything, and we were
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
This sounds like, I kind of feel, do you think you guys are going to continue writing this way? Do you think the songs came out as they would have if you were to like co-write together in a room? Like,
absolutely not. The 4 songs that we're releasing are all covers, so there was no writing that it was like, the pandemic's happening, we can't be together to like write like we normally would, but we can, actually get off our butts and make some content. I mean, it's like our, superpower that all of us are producers, right? So I think that's what we did. We tried to like think about what are the bands that we all love, that we've always like, what are those songs that we like love and want to play, like wish we wrote, and each one of us picked one, and then we just like, and then it was like, all right, now we have a project. We all can listen to the finished versions of the songs and interpret how we want to do our own parts, and we'd send them all to the dude who was doing the mixing, and then we'd hear a bounce and we'd be like, oh, that's what we all sound like when we're doing this all on our own, I guess. And it was really interesting because like our other guitar player, Cam, he had never really done his own recording ever with his own stuff. And so he like, we wanted to do it all together. So he was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, man. And I was like, you have a MacBook, right? And he was like, yeah, MacBook Pro. And I was like, just order like a Focusrite Sapphire, man. And just record DIs of yourself. And like if you are going to do backing vocals or like just gang chants, because there were some gang chants on it, he just set up an SM57 and like stood a few feet back and yelled.
That's all you need, man.
And you know what? Like, but it was all DIs. There was nothing. I taught him how to do a clean signal. And because we were both using Logic, he just recorded it into a session, and then he sent me the session. And I just opened the session up and I reamped the guitars through my stuff, and it sounded pretty damn good. And then we blended it. It was fine. It's not. Yeah. I mean, like, it's not the most amazing thing, but it sounds. His guitars reamped after he did a DI into a Focusrite Sapphire, which is not great. Oh, sorry, I keep saying Sapphire, but I mean Scarlet.
Oh, okay.
Into a Scarlet is not great, but if you do it right, if you just like don't crank the gain too much, you gain stage correctly, you use clean cables, you have new fresh strings on your guitar. Or strings
are like so important.
Yeah. Then like if you've got good shit to run it through, it'll sound fine. And then it's not like blending and like carving things out, so it sounds good, but like I think it turned out fantastic for what we were doing, honestly.
Yeah. So who started it? Like, did you so drums, I'm guessing probably MIDI, right? And then is that you just lay the drums down and send them out and be like, all right, let's do this, crank it out, and then
no. So I was in charge of like guitar parts. Cam was in charge of guitar parts. We would just like have a quick FaceTime and be like, all right, which parts on this song do you want? Which ones do I want? And we picked whatever we wanted. Sometimes there's like quad track guitar. Sometimes there's 6-track guitars on it once. Like, no, like, cause like sometimes I was like, well, I want to play the rhythm here. And he was like, I want to play the rhythm too. And I was like, all right, we'll both play the rhythm and I'll play the leads. And I like to double track everything often.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, that's what I'm digging into the production too much. That's what we did for guitars. But like Marty would just like figure out the drums. He would program them all with his Get Good drums. I think that was really just a function of the fact that we wanted to keep it simple. And Iva Coda, the studio we all work out of, wasn't open yet at the time. So he just programmed the drums using Get Good, but just down to the samples, like no mixing.
Okay, yeah, so just very basic.
And then he would track bass too, and then Jonah would record his vocals on his own in his on his Ocean Way mic into his preamps and all his stuff.
Yeah, he's got quite a little setup. Jonah does.
Yeah,
you guys all do.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Just for some context, the last EP that you guys released before this, I got to mix.
Yes.
And I've never worked with a band where there was like 5 different engineers and producers in the band. And I was like really, really worried. I didn't tell you this, but like I was like so worried because when you have 5 people that know how to produce music and engineer, they all have their own vision of things. So I'm like, oh God, these like mixed notes are going to be a nightmare because everybody has a very specific vision, you know?
People are gonna
like the process went really well. Like you guys are great to work with, and I think that album sounds so good.
I think so too. Yeah,
but I'm biased as hell, man. Like I mixed it.
We wrote the music. We also engineered a lot of it. And then you mixed it and you mastered it, and you worked with us throughout the process when we were trying to finish writing it too. I think even.
Yeah.
It's really crazy too, because we were trying to figure out how do we continue producing our own stuff, because for the first 4 years of the band, our drummer Marty was doing production full time, and he lived in a house out in McLean, Virginia, where he lived with other people who were just in bands, and they had a big practice space in the basement, and his studio was set up right next to it. So there were literally mics, preamps available, and all different bands would come to that house to have band practice and use PA, and we recorded all our shit there and just did it ourselves, and Marty mixed it, and I think we sent our stuff off for mastering a few times, but Marty mixed all the stuff that we did at the beginning. And then after after doing a record and a few singles, that's when you and I met and all that shit happened. We engineered it ourselves, but we didn't have his house anymore because he moved out. He moved in with his wife. They live in Washington, D.C. now. And we were like, what are we going to do? Do we think we should just rent time at Ivacota, which is the studio we all work out of, and record there? And we decided to do that for some of it. So we rented time. We'd go and we'd practice and jam there. But then also, what we would do is track drums finally there, but we invested in a 2 notes load box so that we could do all the guitar tracking at home and be able to really criticize the tones and spend a lot of time with it instead of having to book time at the studio to do guitar tracking.
For people that don't know, a 2 notes load box is basically this giant radiator. It just sucks up all the power from a guitar amp and allows you to use a guitar amp and plug it in your computer. So you get a really cool sound without having to blow all the windows out of your basement because your volume's so loud. So you can bring it into an apartment or whatever, and you can have you can record your guitar amp at really quiet volumes, and it's awesome. So jealous. Sorry, I just had to let people know. They're like, what the hell is a 2 notes load box?
No, exactly. And so we engineered all the guitars at Marty's apartment. I brought the load box over. We got a tower of amps because between all of us that were in the band at the time, we had 3 guitar players and a bass player, and all of us had at least 2 amps. These are nice amps too. So we had Orange 80-30 combo. We had my PV6505, which you can see behind me. We had our other guitar player, Nick's Soldano. We had an orange. We had our singer Jonah's orange Rocker Verb 100 Mark II. I want to say.
You guys have too much gear that I want.
A lot. And then we had our bass player at the time, Justin. He had an orange amp head, but I forget which one it was. And but it sounded so great. So we just had this tower of amps with a load box, and we were just tracking different shit, trying out different guitars. I remember like one of the winners on Absent, that single that you mixed, was this like, I want to say 90s black Gibson SG that was like our bass player Justin's dad's, and he brought it over, and we recorded the like bridge part. Well, not the like interlude bridge part on it, and they were like the sparkly kind of cleaner, dirty ones, and it just sounded so good, so good. And I've been playing on my Les Paul, my Epiphone Les Paul, with Fat Cats in it the whole time, which was great. But like, still, it was just like next level. Yo, what up, Alex? Shout out to In Your Memory.
Yeah. What's up? What's going on, Alex? Good to see you, man. Thanks for popping in here. Yeah, so just a reminder to everybody who's watching, this is interactive. So like, if you guys have questions or if Dave's making shit up, just leave something in the chat. We can see that. We can interact with you guys, and we're totally open to take questions. So yeah. All right. So I didn't mean to sidetrack you. But
it was great record. Great experience putting that together. But it was a cool process for recording. Our process is very different now, as a function of Corona. But part of that is because like around the time that I worked with you on that record, I started doing my own studio business and like working with clients more. I had done a little bit back in like 2016 and 2017, but my skills like really weren't there to be able to go out and like market myself to the bands that I was like seeing in this local DC, Virginia, Maryland market, and like wanting to attract their attention. Cause like, man, it's hella competitive out there.
It's insane, dude. It is so insane. It's a long game out here. Like if you want, if you're a band that you want, I mean, it took me what, 3 years before I convinced you guys to let me mix you. Like it's a long game, baby. So
you did this right after we had done a record release. So
yeah,
to be fair, there was probably like 2 years in there of like no one's getting business from us. Honestly, dude, like you did the next record that we did after our first record. Like we met you after we put our first record out.
That's true. Yeah. And actually, you guys are playing with In Your Memory.
Yeah, exactly.
Alex is in. Yeah, or the band that Alex is in. That's funny, actually.
And they're dope.
So let's talk about this a little bit more, because you're talking about you just started your recording business.
Yeah.
And fast forward to now, COVID, like what, like did that just put the brakes on things? Like, because it's such a tough thing. I know people, some of my friends are still tracking, some of them aren't. Some of them are kind of only taking select clients, like no new clients, and like making agreements like, all right, guys, like, if you guys are being safe and taking this seriously, like my door's open for you guys to come in and record. Like how has that changed anything for you? Like,
yeah, I mean, like I stopped having sessions altogether for a while. My studio, it didn't feel like it was worth it. I mean, like, to be fair, I have a lot of work that I could have been doing for my own bands, which I hadn't really been doing for a bit, without having to like interact with other people. Also, like, I'm not a full-time producer and I'm not a full-time musician. Like, I have a day job. So like that was a whole thing too. And I was in the middle of trying to make a career change.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
The dark ages.
It was a lot. I mean, I had been doing the recording business for about 2 years when the pandemic hit. So I had some steady clients that I had been seeing, reliably, a couple ad hoc clients, like clients that just sort of came out of the blue, asked for certain things, or just like referral work that I was doing on like editing vocals and stuff. But like, it was enough to keep me busy in my free time and make some extra money. And I take every dollar that I earn from the studio business and I just buy more gear with it. Like I just reinvest it into the shit I have. Cause it's really not about, I want to be really honest. Like it's really not about, earning a living for me at this point. It's more about getting to do what I love and like continuing to play the long game and hope that I will eventually get to do it for a living, you know?
Yeah, I want to play on this topic because this is something that I think about all the damn time because I also have a full-time job that I do when I'm not in the studio. And I reflect on this so much because what I think, because the whole dream has been, okay, one day I'm gonna make it and I'm just gonna be full-time audio and it's gonna be amazing. But the reality is I don't know if that's really what would happen,
Yeah.
right? It's one of these things where it's like, right now, I think I love it so much because I have good balance in my life, right? The studio is not responsible for paying my bills.
Yeah.
I think once you take away the security blanket, the insurance, like all that, and it's like, okay, studio has to pay the bills, that's when it becomes a job. And I've always thought that, that's going to take the fun away from it because then there's this pressure there to deliver and to find more people and I don't know if it's the right move now or potentially the right move ever, right? It's one of these weird things. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
I mean, I think it's tough. I think it's all about, knowing, knowing what your definition of success is and knowing what makes you happy in life and being able to put it all in perspective. And I mean, for me, in reality, like, I don't think that I would have as happy a life if I did what some of the other guys out there are doing, which is, and I respect it, is like saying, look, like this is a highly competitive business. It's a difficult business. It's not a traditional business. If you want to get ahead, the best way to do that is to be willing to do what other people aren't and to be willing to, dedicate your whole life to it. And there are a lot of people that are probably really happy that they did that. They're probably not married. They probably don't have like a whole other life that they've built. There are some that have. I'm not saying that there aren't a lot of successful people that have the whole package. And
Yeah.
there absolutely are, no question. But then there's a lot of people who make lots of sacrifices in their life to do audio. And I think for me, I knew what made me happy about audio, and I knew that I didn't want to lose the people that were important to me in my life, and I need to be able to provide a certain level of stability and I don't know, quality of life.
Yeah. Right.
Being honest, like I wasn't, as much as I wish I could say it, I wasn't ready to like not see a doctor for 5 years and like live in a group house and eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Yeah. And that's a common thing. Like,
Yeah.
And it's, at some point you have to ask yourself, like, is it worth it? Because
and like
it's such a personal thing too, right? So I mean, it's like to some people, absolutely, like they want to live in a van and they want to have that, that band that where they just are, that's everything to them, right?
Yeah.
But for I guess someone like you and me, now maybe I don't know, I haven't talked to you in like 6 months, so I don't even know if you love your job, but like my day job is something that I spent a long time trying to get. And like I have no problems with my day job. So it's like I think that's been one of the hardest things for me to overcome is like they call it golden handcuffs. It's one of these things where it's like I really have no motivation. There's like no driving force for me to be like, you know what? I'm just going to do the studio thing full time, because they both satisfy different parts for me, right? So one is like logical thinking, discovery, and then we have the audio where it's the creative outlet. And it's a perfect balance for me. And so I think I've finally kind of come to the conclusion that I need a little bit of both in my life for me to really be happy. And then that frees up some time for me to have, things outside that I like to do, like going to concerts if that ever happens again, or like, or spending time with friends and family, things like that. Whereas if I'm dedicated myself to audio and, we book a session with a band and it's like, okay, we have 2 weeks to do this album, can't see anybody, we're working around the clock, like, that starts limiting those other things that gives you some sort of quality of life.
Yeah.
So, dude, I hear you, man.
Knowing what makes you happy and what's going to let you have a happy life. And like, you can love producing and doing audio, and if it means that you're going to not have a happy life because you're dedicating everything to it, you can like feel okay about deciding not to dedicate everything to it because you want to have a happy life,
Yeah.
About knowing who you are. And I'll be honest, like there are also some people who maybe do that. They make those sacrifices, but they don't have to for very long because they're incredibly talented and they're going to be successful. And I'm not saying that I don't believe in myself in that way, but I just know that like there were times in my life, like in my early 20s, where I dedicated a lot of extra time. I was burning the candle at both ends a lot to try to do that. And it didn't pop off in a way where I could like pay a mortgage. So like,
right. Yeah.
so I'm where I am. I don't mind having diversified income streams too. I mean, I have my day job. And then basically anytime I start thinking about wanting to buy something, within a few months, I've got enough cash from the studio business to buy it for the studio. So it's kind of like, and I also would like hate to, I don't know, I would hate to like be resentful of it if it like really fucked my life up. So I'm pretty happy where I'm at, kind of like you. But
I don't want to say we're complacent. I don't want to say that's where we are.
Yeah.
What's up, Kyle? I gotta give a shout out to Kyle. He's like my number one fan for some reason. He always comes to every live. I don't think you've missed a live stream yet, Kyle. But no, yeah, going back to your point, like I don't think it's a complacency thing. I think the music stuff is always a challenge, right? It's like you can go deeper and deeper down this rabbit hole, and so I feel like the challenge is always there. So it keeps me excited. It keeps me wanting to learn more about it. And but yeah, it's I've been having, maybe it's like I'm having like a midlife crisis or something, but I've been like really thinking about it. Maybe it's because I'm at home a lot more with coronavirus. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like it's one of these things where I just think about this all the time.
Being a band after coronavirus, man, like it's like, what are we doing now? We're just content creators, I guess.
Yeah. So have you guys thought about playing a virtual show? I'm so curious because you guys clearly could do this. This is something you could definitely do.
So we haven't talked about doing a virtual show, but we have talked about shooting a like audio tree style set and putting that out online. But nothing
that would be cool.
live. I don't think, I'll be honest, like I don't think that we have the technical expertise to be able to.
You just got a phone, man. Hit that live button. You're good.
Oh, yeah, but that's and we don't want to put stuff out there that'll sound like shit. I mean,
yeah.
like watch my band practice and listen to the scratch cymbal because that's all you're gonna hear, and then just a whole bunch of
Yeah. No, I feel you. Like we'll talk offline, man. I'll get you guys hooked up. It's really not as hard as, and anybody out there too that is interested in doing the live stream thing. It's really not that hard. Reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you guys out. So, because that'd be cool, man. I think you guys should explore that space. Like, have you or any of your bandmates ever messed around on Twitch or anything like that? Twitch is a pretty amazing platform.
I have not. I don't know about that. I don't think this is the number one challenge we have as a band is that we're all producers, but we all suck at social media. And that's like recipe for disaster.
I don't think you guys suck at it. I think nobody finds that work fulfilling. I don't like doing it. Yeah. I'd rather have conversations with people like you or like Greg I had on last week. It's like things like that. I find that way more engaging for me than trying to make some clickbait thumbnail and post on social to get people to give me thumbs up. It's it's like such a waste, man. Like, I don't know. But more power to you if you're a social media manager. Artists need people like you. That's for sure.
Seriously, hit me up.
So, have you missed like going to shows, has that weighed on you at all? Like for me,
Yeah.
not being able to go to concerts is like extremely draining, like to my creativity, and like I didn't realize how much I needed like that type of interaction. And maybe I'm more extroverted than a lot of people, but like it's starting to impact me, I think.
So yes, but for me, it's way more missing playing shows
Mm.
because by like last year, I love going to concerts, but the most fulfilling part of music for me now is like getting to perform and be around other dudes who are making other gals and dudes making great music, and everyone in between.
Yeah. Have you watched any live concerts? Like, because Kyle just asked, he was curious how popular are they? And
I haven't.
I think honestly, I think it's probably genre specific, if I had to guess, because there's been like a lot of EDM virtual concerts that I've seen happen, and those things are out of control. Like tens of thousands of people from around the world just like watching them. And then, shows where, maybe it makes more sense to like be experiencing the live energy, like metal or even like some like folky stuff. Like it just means so much more being in that environment. I don't think those really do as well. So that's at least my take. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I think you might be right. I know that there have been I've seen some bands doing some cool things. Like I know Tesseract did their whole Portal thing, which looked really cool. I didn't see it though. I mean, it's like they're doing it around like buying advance tickets to things and stuff. I think it's really innovative and smart. But for me, it's about feeling the bass rumbling in my stomach and about like feeling the air getting pushed onto me from like the fans above me and people pushing me and like just physically being there, man. Like
Dude,
that.
there's this weird thing, and I think that's what it is that's killing me, not like being able to go to the shows. It's like it's almost like going to like church or something. It's like we're all here for the same reason, and like everybody just like puts their guard, like we're here to watch this band and interact with it, and like you feel so connected to everybody, like when everybody's singing the same thing, and like the energy and all that, like it just is such a refreshing thing for me. And I don't get that when I watch it like virtually,
Yeah.
and it's so for me, it's kind of a little bit. There's some things that you just cannot replace when it comes to live music, and other things it's more. I don't know. It works for some things, but not everything. That's how I feel.
I think there's some cool stuff. I've seen some cool like live streams of like acoustic jazz folk type stuff. So I don't think I think it depends. But I guess I might have just gone down the HBO Netflix hole during
Oh no.
where I've seen entertainment. We were just talking about this before we got on here, but like you don't it sounds like you don't watch stuff, man. So like
Hold on. Let me interrupt you. I watched, so I'm like not a TV person, and my wife convinced me to watch Game of Thrones, and I know you're going to be so proud of me for that. So I watched the entire damn thing through Corona. So I'm like all caught up with, now I understand memes. Now I understand like all these things because I watched that show.
How let down were you at the end? Or were you...
It's I just want another season, It's just
just don't squeeze 2 seasons in one season, please.
Yeah. I don't know. The ending was not. I didn't feel closure, I will say. But like I liked it up until the very last episode. So I didn't read the books. I know other people read the books and they had different pictures in their minds, and people, it was released so late in the, like after people had been watching it. I don't know. I watched it straight through. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. So
back to music stuff.
Yeah, well, we don't have to. We don't have to talk about music.
We should. I came today with 20 questions for you.
Oh my God, you would do this to me. Hold up. Before we get into this, because I have the beer cam, I want to cheers everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers to you guys for tuning in. Beer cam again. This is DC Brow, local brewery here in DC. Arcade Series 3. Dave got some Courage the Cowardly Dog beer. I don't even know what he's drinking.
Hold it up to the beer cam again.
You need to see this?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
I need an investor to buy me a new camera for my beer cam. All right, let me bring you back. Where are you at? Oh man, there it is. All right. All right, so what are we doing? You got questions for me?
Are you ready? Are you ready for these questions? Or did
you? Is this like a rapid fire round? Like, what is this?
It's not rapid fire. They're just
things that you've been thinking about.
Yeah.
It's my job to grill my guests, not the other way around.
Well, what CDs lived in your car back in the day?
Oh, dude. I like Burned Out the Used.
Oh, which one?
The first one. Self-titled, maybe?
Oh, word.
I don't know. It was silver and had like white letters, so you could barely read the damn label. Finch, Thrice. What else we got?
Which Finch record?
The first one.
Oh, I got you.
Whatever it is, 100. I don't know. It had a chemistry set on it. I don't even remember.
Oh, the Ice Cubes or whatever. Go ahead.
So there's that one. Thrice. I'm trying to think what lived in my car. Artist in the Ambulance lived in my car for a long time. Yeah. It's probably still there, honestly. Bring Me the Horizon. I had a bunch of mixtapes from my buddy from the Bay Area in California. Oh, so nice. Like the hyphy stuff back in like the early 2000s when that was popping off, like E40, like Mac Dre, like all that stuff. I don't know if anybody even knows that. DIA. That's right. I had all that in my car. Yeah, so I had, what else did we have? Oh, I was also like really big into electronic music at the time. So I had Tiesto in my car all the time.
I saw Tiesto in Belgium.
Oh, man.
It's wild.
It's amazing. Tiesto's, dude, he's still crushing it. And that's actually the one live show that I watched that I enjoyed. Was watching, it was Tiesto and a few other people. And I was driving across the country and I had it on my phone and I just had it in the mirror or, your little phone holder. So I'm driving and we're like streaming the live show.
Oh my God.
And just like, and we had it playing through the car. So we're just like,
yeah, you're raging.
It was awesome, man. Like that. And maybe that's because I was stuck in a car and had nothing better to do than to like have a dance party, with my wife or whatever. But like, that was awesome. How about you? I'm going to flip the script.
Sure. No, you should. You should. I came prepared to answer these questions. I had plenty of time to think of so, all right. You ready? And don't judge me.
Story so far.
Don't judge me. Judge me. Dude, not in my car back in the day. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
City of Evil.
Oh, hell yeah. I had that in my car too for a while. Yeah.
I had the Seosin self-titled record, the first record. I had As Daylight Dies by Killswitch Engage.
Oh, hell yeah.
I also had Still Searching, Senses Fail.
Oh, yeah.
I had the Alchemy Index.
Yep.
Let's see. What am I leaving out? I had like some of those early Atreyu records. I think
yeah, me too. Definitely. The Curse and what was the one after that?
Oh, the one that had X's
Nose. Or, yeah, that song on it. Yeah.
The Dude on Fire on it. Yeah, that record was great, dude.
I know.
That record. I know we all have like our idea of who Atreyu was in our mind as like the silly fucking metalcore band with a guitar player that looks like the Karate Kid. But But like, if you go back and listen to that record with the dude who's on fire on it, it's fire. It's so good. The production's pretty good. It's great. It's an amazing record.
Yeah,
That was a great record.
that's
Sorry.
awesome, dude. No, it's so funny to overlap. You know, it's
Oh, for sure.
yeah. I definitely had Under Oath. I forgot to mention that.
Find a great line.
Chasing-
Find a great
Well,
line. I didn't have Chasing Safety until after I already had To Find the Great Line.
Oh, loser.
I just did a cover off of Chasing Safety. So
I know. That's why I'm excited. By the way, if you guys don't know, Dave's band Deer Spring just released 2 of the 4 covers that they recorded during quarantine. No, it was before that.
Yeah, during
They were
quarantine.
finished.
We did them all during quarantine.
Yeah, you guys should check it out. Where can they find that stuff? I'll drop a link.
Yeah, you can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube, pretty much anywhere you stream music. If you look up Deer Spring, and it'll be under there as our 2 most recent singles. But if you go to our Facebook page or Instagram page at Deer Spring Band VA,
Oh man, you guys.
Deer
Deer Spring wait, what was it?
Spring, all word. Deer Spring, all one word. Deer Spring Band VA, like Virginia.
There you guys go. Check that out.
Yeah.
Post that on in the chat. Too many letters, man. Why couldn't you just be like Deer Spring Official? Or I guess that's even more words or letters, whatever they are.
Idea. Well, maybe we'll change it one day. But this is what we've had for a while, and it's
it's all good, dude. Their band is awesome, and if you guys ever like go on tour again, you should check them out. It's a super fun show, super fun.
Thanks.
So, all right, give it to me. You got like 20 questions. We got 1.
When was the golden age of metalcore, or is it now?
Oh, it's not now, bro. Come on, man. I grew up in that Midwest metalcore days. Like that was like when Joey Sturgis just started popping. So that would have been
HTML rules, dude. Is that what?
It'd have been like 2005,
All right,
2006 ish was when. Well, at that time, it was like this weird, like crazy deathcore pig squeal thing. Like Job for Cowboy came out, Oceano just came out.
But that was deathcore, man. That was
right. But it was like just after that is when things popped off. So that's when like, oh man, yeah, all those Rise record bands came out.
Yeah, what's that band called? They're Of Mice and Men.
Like, yeah. They're still relevant, dude. They like have a huge single that just dropped.
Yeah. I know they're relevant. I know. I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
I remember when I first saw them at Warped Tour and was like, oh fuck. I guess metalcore has like finally like realized what it is. Cause like I'd say from 2000 to like 2004, the metal scene was like a blend of like influences of European metal, like all that power metal kind of metalcore stuff, like the Alexa House stuff and the Children of Bodom and Fall and all that stuff. That was like that European influence metal, and at the same time, you've got this like American hardcore influence sound that's coming up with all the breakdowns and stuff, and it kind of turns into less of the virtuoso Swedish whatever stuff, not Swedish, and more, and then like the metalcore, like real, like what metalcore became, you know?
I totally agree, man. Because I also listened to Children of Bodom, like back in the day. That and oh man, what are they? I can't think of them. Too many bands. You make me like go way back.
It's all good.
You're giving me a headache.
Come on, you ready?
Yeah, give it to me.
You can never have. Okay, this was especially written for you as a
great
tonight. You can never have one again. Cheese or beer? Which would you choose and why?
Oh, dude, that's brutal. Why would you do that to me? That's so bad. Like,
you want me to answer first? Because I will, but you should. I think you should answer first. That's the.
Oh my god, this is one of those things where I can't make a decision. Like, because I could say, I'm gonna get rid of cheese.
Wrong
Oh,
answer.
that's such a bad idea. That's such a bad idea. I forgot about pizza. Like, what would you do?
Wrong answer, bro.
Yeah, I gotta get rid of beer. I'll drink whiskey instead. I got it on my shirt.
Yeah,
Like,
you can drink whiskey, you can drink water.
but beer is so awesome. Like, it's got so much going on.
You can't have pizza, you can't have grilled cheese, you can't put cheese on your pasta, you can't have ravioli.
I know. See, Vanessa.
That's why you gotta pick beer if you want to keep cheese. The question was, which would you get rid of?
Oh man, that's rough.
Yeah.
So you'd get rid of beer?
Yeah,
Italian food and like
I love beer, but I could replace beer in my life with liquor or wine if I needed to. I don't know what I would replace cheese with. I need cheese for cheese. Like a sandwich isn't a sandwich without cheese. Right?
Oh man, that's brutal.
That's just my opinion.
Like I didn't understand the weight of this question and how much it would like.
No cheese,
but like beer,
no cheese of any kind.
I don't know, man.
But
I think you're right, dude. I think you're right. I made a mistake, man.
It's all good. It's all good. All right. This one's like, we're gonna actually talk about this one. What's your go-to mic for hip hop vocals?
Now we're talking because we haven't even gone down the hip hop train. Nobody knows you're doing hip hop now.
Yeah.
We haven't even touched base on that.
Yeah.
Go-to mic for hip hop vocals. Can I qualify my mic choice?
Absolutely. I said no. There's no.
Yeah. All right. Because like,
I want to learn. Okay. For all that don't also know this, Bobby is a much more experienced producer than I am. So I often look to him for advice and guidance on things.
Which is why Dave prepared 20 questions so he can emulate my brain.
Time.
All right. So if I had to pick a mic, all right, there's one that I fell in love with, and it's a weird company. It's called Mic. The company's called Mic Tech, and they had a mic, and I sold it because I don't do a lot of tracking anymore, and I felt guilty with it just sitting on the floor in my studio, like just collecting dust. And I knew someone needed to have it to record hip hop with. But it's called I think it's a CV4 was the mic I bought. It's a tube mic. It is magical. It's like, it's got a nice full like presence to it, like a body that you need for like an intimate hip hop vocal sound. And then it has like a really nice top end shine to it that isn't harsh. It's just like, it brings out the air. Like all you do is you just track with it, compress it, and the vocals are just money. And it like the tube in it saturates nicely if someone gets a little bit aggressive or hot on the mic. And man, dude, it just sounds so good. But from like a practicality standpoint, oh man, see, I don't know, because I also have like a Slate virtual microphone system.
Yeah, tell me about that.
I have mixed feelings about that because
I thought you loved it,
dude.
You always talk about
right. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's cool when you don't want to make a decision. Like, if you don't have, like, if you have to bring, like, for example, I had to fly to Austin, Texas to record a band. Instead of bringing 8 different condenser mics on an airplane, I grabbed one because we can just use that, and then we can model all these different microphones, and we can get an idea of what the right sound is when we might not have a good like studio environment to even be judging if we're making a good decision. So I could capture the source, fly back to my studio, and then I just go through the microphones and pick my favorite. So like that kind of flexibility is amazing. There's nothing like it. And there's other companies that make modeling microphones like that. But Slate was the first one to market it big enough that I saw it and I bought in. But there's other ones that are really good too. So if you're interested in a modeling mic, definitely like search. There's several companies out there. But I shot out, before I sold my CV4 by my Mic Tech mic, I shot it out against the Slate, and that the tube mic just murdered the Slate digital mic. Like there's nothing I could do with the plugin or any of the stuff, the different models, to get it to sound remotely close. Like, and maybe that was just because it matched perfectly with my voice. I mean, there's a million and one, reasons why maybe I always pick that one, but it just sounded right. Like every time I've used it with people, it always sounded right. So yeah, if you have, I mean, it's a nice, if I only had one mic to pick, it probably would be, I would sacrifice that like ultimate quality just for having something to salvage anything. So I have like at least some sort of quality, you can make something work always. But no, that's a hard one, man, because when you match the right mic with the right person, it's magical. Like it's just it's like 3D almost, and it doesn't make any sense. And until you like experience that, when you find the right thing, yeah, it's just, you just don't know better. I guess.
I feel you. I feel like those, not to be prejudiced, but I feel like modeling, it's always kind of a gamble. And
Yeah.
There's some companies and some products that do it really well. I think with instruments like guitars and amplifiers, because of the nature of how those things are captured, it's maybe more passable than when you're doing it on a source that has like vocal content, something that's so unique. That would be my assumption, right? So like, for example, all the tones that we are using on these covers that we just dropped, all Axe effects. They're all Axe effects. No amps, no load box, no microphones. And they sound in I think some of the tones we are getting with it are better than any of the amp tones we've captured on previous records. That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
And I think that's because Fractal does a really damn good job with some of that stuff. Some of the stuff that Fractal does sounds better than 90% of the mic'd amps I've ever heard. And I think part of that is that, I think it's really hard to get like a really clean, perfect. So like you need to spend time with a cab with multiple mics and combinations of mics and getting like the vibe right and being able to have something that's like versatile and is maybe like a digital reproduction of it, but maybe more perfect because of that. Like sometimes it can be really good.
Dude, let's explore this, because this is an interesting thing, and I think about this all the time. So, I mean, is it just that it's more convenient that someone, because like, so let's talk about like how amps are modeled, right? So you can basically run information into an amp and figure out what it's doing to the signal, and you can model that. That's fine. And then that's pretty good. But the magic of it comes from the way the cabinet interacts with the surrounding environment and like where you put the microphones, because moving a mic like a quarter of an inch will completely change everything. And a lot of these companies that do this modeling stuff, so they have what's called an impulse response, and that basically is that second half of the equation I just talked about. That's how the amp interacts with the room, okay, and the microphone. So they've done the legwork. They've gone and they put the microphones and adjusted it. God knows how many hours and days they spent, making all these little impulses and shooting them out. So they have a collection of things that sound good, that they're best of the best. And when you have an electronic, like an amp simulator like that, you can just go through presets and then very quickly identify what works with the song. And I think that's the magic. I don't know if they're any better. They don't, for me, being a guitar player and playing like into an amp sim, it doesn't feel the same. Yeah. They're getting better every year, but like I know how I dig into the strings, how it's supposed to respond, and it's not quite there yet, but I think the versatility of it completely outweighs digging out a bunch of microphones and doing the thing. Unless, at least for metal, right? So metal, I think that is a home run. But for vibey stuff, I don't think you can use an amp sim. Like there's for those types of like styles of music where it's more of a vibe than it is like aggression and this wall of sound. I don't think I just man, it's just so hard to compete with getting, putting the right microphones up with a cool amp and like getting some of that actually like the room sound that you're actually in. Like that's part of the magic. It's like a timestamp or a time capsule of that album. And like if you use an amp sim, you lose that.
Yeah.
So I mean
I think you're right.
Ranting, man. I
think you're right in some ways. I personally, don't completely agree. I think there are ways to capture a unique vibe that maybe even sounds better by creating virtual rooms using reverb and stuff. But like to your point, I think the room that you're in when you're miking an amp is going to make a difference. I think the amount of time you put into the mic selection, the position, everything about it. Honestly, I know it's probably not true, but I think just if the vibe with you and the dudes in the room recording or the gals in the room recording,
right.
That'll impact it too.
Yeah.
It's so many different things. So like, I just feel like personally for me, I've been really impressed with the results I've been able to get actually, even with clean tones on the Axe Effects, like shot. And there are things that I don't look to the Axe Effects to accomplish, like creating a virtual room or making my reverb sounds. Like there's some cool stuff in there, great stuff, but I've got some amazing spatial imaging, reverb, all sorts of plugins that I've come to get really used to creating the vibe and the sound in the room.
Right. Yeah.
But
I will agree, dude. The stuff that comes from your band is amazing. And that's like your sound. And yeah, and maybe I'm biased because the last album that I spent a lot of time recording and producing, we went with the idea that it was going to be a time capsule. So you put the album in and you get sucked right back into that room that we recorded in, that we spent like, 10 days together in this cabin on a lake, and we recorded this album. And I think we accomplished that. And that's just me being biased, right? It's the amount of effort we put into it. So I think when I hear it, I'm like, oh, it's so good. But if had someone recorded and sent that to me to mix and I had no part in it, who knows? Maybe I would have thought it sounded like crap. It's one of the things, right?
That makes it special. And I'll say this. Dear Spring, my band, we put out those 2 covers. We've got 2 more covers coming, but what you don't know, or what you might know, is we have a single that we recorded that's not a cover. That's coming out. It's the next thing that's coming out before the other 2 singles. It's actually going to be out February 11th, and it's called Dumb Luck. And it's the very first time we ever didn't do our recording process the way that I described it. We didn't practice in a room and then record it ourselves. We didn't use Axe Effects in separate places. We didn't record it all with an amp stack and record the drums at Ivacoda and send it off to you. This was the first time we hired a producer to like actually help us do songwriting and produce.
Which is amazing, by the way. So if you're in a band, like that is like, talk about that. What's the process like? And you guys think was that the right move for you guys?
100%. I mean, like we responded to an inquiry that we got in our band email to go record. We looked at the portfolio and we realized like it was legit. Like the dude who we were going to go work with had worked with some really dope up and coming bands. They recorded one of the acoustic Wonder Years records that came out. They recorded some of the early Grayscale stuff. So like some of these bands that are popping off now, and the producer is the singer from the band Man Overboard. So like it was, once we kind of figured out who we were talking to, we took it seriously. And we're like, all right, it's worth checking it out. Like we get people hitting us up about, recording with them a lot. And there's a lot of great people out there, but it's tough when you got a band full of producers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like we worked with you because you're great and you were really helpful with us as we were putting the record together, and you do great work. But this seemed like a unique opportunity, and we were like, all right, well, we're not going to do a record with you because we never done this way before. And frankly, like we're not ready to drop that much money on something we're not positive is going to turn out great, and we know we can do it great for free ourselves, basically. Cost of renting the studio and stuff, but that's it. So we said, all right, we'll come up, we'll do a single with you. And we just went up there to New Jersey for one weekend at the Lumberyard Studio with Nick Brzese from Man Overboard. And we did 3 days with him. We showed up with a song, which I was excited about, which I wrote. But I don't think at the time when we were going to record it, we felt like it was a single. Sorry.
Oh, man.
We didn't think. I don't think we thought it was.
You're the first one that's ever sneezed on the live stream.
I'm so sorry.
Nice, Dave.
But we showed up with a song that we had fully written. Like we demoed everything. I recorded all my parts. We programmed the drums for it. We played it at practice. Jonah hadn't written the lyrics yet. Our process is normally that we put all the music together. Then we work on the lyrics sometimes together. Sometimes Jonah writes them, and then he writes his vocal parts, and he records them and produces them himself. So we didn't have them done. My wife loves to say that I'm a dramatic sneezer. She's right, I am. So I apologize. But we got there, and basically we show up Friday after work. So we get there like 6 p.m. or whatever in New Jersey, and Nick's like, "All right, show me the song." And we're like, all right, here it is. And we play it for him. He's like, this isn't a song, man. Like, there's no vocals. And we were like, well, no, yeah, but we wrote the whole song, and then we usually write the vocals later. So we thought we'd do that this weekend while we're engineering, or we'll record them on our own later. And he was like, dude, I can't help you if you don't have the song. We're like, this isn't, to me, I understand where you're coming from, and that's your process. But to me, it's not a song until I know what the hook is and like what it's about, what the vocals are. And the rest of the entire song, all the instruments and everything, like, if we're going to figure out what the song is with those vocals, like, those parts are going to change. Like, we don't know. We have a bunch of parts right now, and they're in a certain order. We don't know what the song is yet until there's vocals.
See, that's huge, right? Like, no one's ever said that probably before.
No one ever said that to us. And he literally said, all right, here's what we're going to do. You guys take the rest of the night, jam as late as you want. I'm going home. This is like within 20 minutes.
You're fired, dude. Your band just got fired.
I'm going home. And, I'm going to be back in the morning, and we'll talk about the song first thing after you guys work on it tonight. And then we'll work on the song structure, and then we'll record everything. We're like, oh, fuck. All right. And the studio's sick. It's got like it had these bunks in it. He doesn't work out of there anymore, but had bunks in it. It had like a PlayStation 2. I think we watched some like old shitty DVDs they had there. It was hilarious. And I think that was so much of what made it such a dope experience was like, we lived at that studio, and the vibe of staying there for the weekend was awesome. And we got to have a great time together. And that made it, and I'm sort of getting to this, but like we all left that studio after we recorded that record. I mean, not that record.
Yeah.
Literally driving home, listening to it on the ride home, and all of us were like, "It's the best thing we've ever done." And it sounded like shit, by the way, at that time. It sounded like shit. Like the raw tones, some of them are awesome, some of them aren't. And we used all of the raw tones for the final thing, but it took a lot of work to get it finalized. But that I don't blame.
You wrote a song, right? It's not just
exactly. Can we take 1 minute?
Yeah. What's up?
My dinner has arrived. I'm gonna go grab it.
Sure. All right. I'm just gonna. Actually, you know what, Dave? We're past 9 o'clock.
Can we wrap?
We should wrap this thing up.
All right, man.
And then you can eat. So that's like the perfect segue to your dinner.
Perfect.
So I want to just say, if you're watching right now, thank you guys so much. I do this every Thursday. Be sure to come back, 8 p.m. Eastern. Dave is in an awesome band, actually in 3 awesome bands. But Deer Springs released 2 songs. They got 2 more coming out and a single. Check them out. I have in the chat, you'll be able to find it. It's at Deer Spring Band VA, as in Virginia. Check them out. They're on Spotify. Hear all the cool stuff he's got going on. And we didn't even talk about hip hop. We got to bring you back on here, man.
Yeah. Well, this got so much more to talk about. Shout out Arc of the Sun too.
Arc of the Sun, Arist.
Yeah, that's fine though.
All right. So with that, I want to wish you guys all a good evening. Thank you guys again so much for hanging out, and we'll see you next time. Dave, it's been a pleasure, man.
Always.
All right. You guys have a wonderful night.